Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Valheim news and update video. There was a small little optimization fix today. I'm going to go through it. It's very tiny patch notes. Then we're going to talk about ores in Valheim. Another interview popped up a few days ago where it gives even more details about why you can't teleport ores through portals and why it's so important to the developers. So we'll go through that stuff as well as take a look at some of the community stuff. I've taken a look at some of the Reddit builds that are going on. You guys sharing your stuff in Discord as well. Some fantastic creations out there that I want to highlight. And what's going on with terraforming? Is it the #1 cause of lag for people? Could you be doing too much digging all of your basements and stuff like that? Maybe allow that a little bit if you want a lag-free experience in Valheim. So all that, let's go. Don't forget to like, make sure you're subscribed. It's Valheim news. So this little patch only went live about 20 minutes ago of recording this, and it's just more or less localization updates to make sure all the languages are supported. Added separate walk, sneak, snow, footsteps, sound effects, music update. They've fixed some weird sound glitches, and they've got the credits updated. They've changed the look of the credits screen and added missing names. They've also added hammer, hoe and cultivator timing and input tweaks. Now I was complaining that some of this stuff was just a little bit too, I don't know, it's hard enough doing this kind of stuff like farming and building without having delays, but apparently it was needed because that was one of the cornerstones of why so many people have lag, is because they're using some of this stuff too quickly. So it does look like they've slightly lowered the use delay and they've queued the button presses for a smoother experience. So yeah, that's probably a good compromise. Maybe not have it as punching as it was. I'm not saying it was the world's worst thing, but you could definitely feel the little bit of delay when trying to use the hammer or the hoe, and I understand for technical reasons why they had to do it. And that is it. That is the update so far. I kind of maybe think we will get another smaller one later on this week, but so far that's what to expect. And at this stage, you have to do this every time. Don't expect the home and half update until at least maybe the end of April, May. That's what I'm predicting. In my little interview with Robin, which I'll go over later on in the video a little bit, he did say that they've got a long list still of stuff to do. So yeah, anyone expecting the home and half update? No, not in the next couple of weeks, not in the next maybe even month. It's still a big discussion wherever you go about whether or not the teleportation of ores should be allowed. There's plenty of mods out there now that you can go and download. In fact, unrestricted portals is one of the top mods you can go and try on the Nexus Mods platform. But in this interview, they spoke with Henrik Törnqvist. He's one of the co-founders of Iron Gate Studios, but not the main game designer. That is Richard Svensson, and it seems like Richard is the one that wants to keep portals the way they are. But Henrik, he is maybe the opposite way. We redesigned them several times because we didn't want people to use them too much. The interviewer pretty much asked why go ahead and do it then if you don't want people using them. And they pretty much said that Daggerfall was the inspiration. With over 15,000 settlements and dungeons, they love the idea of exploring big open spaces. And actually during Valheim's early development, the world was much bigger. But they also said that at some point, all that open space just doesn't really add anything to the experience. You've got to have something to fill it, or there's got to be an endpoint to every journey. So they squeeze Valheim down to help balance the wilderness, make sure there's plenty of places of interest, but they're not done yet. They do want to add a lot more in the future. Törnqvist goes on to say they really want to add more unique locations, something that personally they think the game lacks a bit, like coming across something spectacular like a giant castle complex, and maybe there's only one of them castle complexes in that whole world, and it might only be on that particular spawn or seed. We'd definitely like to add unique stuff like that. Törnqvist and Svensson want Valheim to be about being a Viking, with player building boats and sailing the seas between the islands that make up its world. All this means that at a deep level, Valheim is a game of journeys, and it wants you to feel like a stranger in unknown lands and the need to make footholds in them. We want players to build as many bases as they can to progress, because many building pieces and such things are unlocked as you go, so you don't have access to everything from the beginning. We wanted people to experience building multiple times but with different ingredients, so to speak. The rest of the interview points out that it's great, that kind of gameplay, but people do feel bad about leaving their progress behind. And so that's where the idea of the portals come from. During playtests though, it became a portal building game. Players would set sail, build a portal back to base and never take to the seas again. Literally until they had to reach the next island. We want physical exploration to be a big part of the game, says Törnqvist, but portals were replacing the need for most journeys. What's more, portals also meant players could sidestep a lot of the challenges set on later islands and biomes. They'd portal all the resources they gathered in new biomes back all to the main base, so they never had to set down roots in them. I mean, it's a bit boring. We want players to play in all the biomes, says Tornquist. So to Svensson, it was apparent they had to limit the portals. Originally, they were going to have them cost stuff, but they realised that wouldn't really solve anything. It just becomes more busy work to gather the stuff that you need to teleport, and that at one time you need to teleport something and you don't have the resources for it, it becomes an irritating moment. Another idea was to have different tiers of portals, so low grade ones couldn't transport any minerals, better ones could transport copper and tin, and the best could also transport iron. Now I kind of like this idea. I still also think the idea of charging to go through a portal is not too bad either. Maybe it could be tokens that you have to craft using iron or copper. But pretty much they said that having 3 tiers added too much complexity to the game, but the basic idea proved good enough to ship in the current version of the game. You can only build one type of portal and you can't take through any kind of metal or ore. So this is where the Mojang kind of developer cuts in and says that working on Minecraft, they realised they must have faced a similar situation in the early days. Obviously they have the portals that go through the Nether and you can technically use them to get across to places. But the thing with that is that when you put a portal in, it will just take you exactly back to where you are, or it takes you to the Nether. There are ways that you can use it to get across vast spaces, as I think 8 places in the Nether realm equals 1 square in Minecraft. So effectively, whenever you do make a second portal in the Nether, you might end up somewhere completely random. Obviously, Valheim's world doesn't have another dimension, it's all continuous. But Tornquist, as I said, he's not actually agreeing with Richard Svensson. He personally loves the portals. He thinks they would probably be better if we let players transport everything through them. Now this was by phone call. Richard apparently doesn't like telephone interviews or face-to-face interviews. He's much better at written ones. So it says he was unwell, but it just looks like he was just avoiding it. But it does look like his decision is final, as he is the main development pretty much arm behind Valheim. Tornquist finished off by saying he's the kind of guy that likes to build a house and just sit there basically. Collect some stuff, build a new addition, a blacksmith. Richard is more about the adventure, exploring the world. It's funny that they finished this interview by saying it's early days for the game, and Tornquist thinks it's quite likely that the majority of players haven't yet reached a part of the game which portals become important. Well, 6 weeks on, I would say yep, absolutely players are definitely there. Sure, new players starting up the game are going to spend a good amount of time, and I know from seeing so many comments you guys telling me that yep, you never even bothered making the next stage of stuff because you didn't even get copper and stuff like that for ages. But it does look like that's not going to change, with Richard Svensson being adamant. Now I did point this out a couple of weeks ago. I said the developers have no plans to change the way the portals work at the moment, but I just thought this article was pretty good, gave a little bit more insight into why. So now hopefully it will stop people maybe getting a little bit angry on Reddit. Now Robin the art guy, in these unofficial streams that are not technically dev streams, well, he went and spent 2.5 hours playing Valheim on Saturday. You should go and check it out for sure. It's just nice to see the developer actually playing his own game. Robin is the art guy and a pretty much doer of lots of things at Iron Gate Studios, so absolutely check it out. And if you do want to hear more from Robin himself, I sat down with him and had a chat, a 40-minute discussion talking about Valheim, game art and all sorts. That came out on Saturday, so go and check out that video if you might have missed it. It will be in the comments section. So something I've come across a lot over the Reddit and just referring to stuff, and some of you guys have been giving me this info as well, but it looks like terraforming is one of the major reasons people are getting lag. So if you're finding that a base or areas of your world are just becoming completely unstable, really take a look and see how much terraforming you've done with your hoe. Maybe it's best to leave the ground kind of as it is and work with it a lot until we get some more performance issues. Now this hasn't been 100% confirmed, but with so much details and so much changes going on, if people are doing that with just the landscape, I could see that being pretty taxing on the system, hence why some people are getting lag. So I want you guys to confirm that back to me. Are you getting more lag if you've done a lot of terraforming, or is it okay even though you have built loads of holes everywhere? So for this week's community roundup, I'm actually going to take a look at creations, base creations, rather than maybe art. And one of the first ones I come across is PC Games N showcasing this Castle Fairfax from Fable 2. It's obviously still in development, but it's a really cool build. It looks like this dude here, Ghost, has been doing a lot of builds, and this is another one of his builds where it's actually got some video for it as well. I'm obviously not going to show the whole video, I'm not ripping anyone off, go and check this out on Reddit. But then again, since it's not on YouTube or anything, I don't think people will mind me showing a little bit of it. And it's pretty cool. I know some great builders. The Pilgrim Project's a friend of mine. I love his builds. But this is really super cool as well, seeing the real artistic side of things, the way people are starting to warp and bend lots of these wooden posts. Especially, I know some of this may require a lot of modding though, and that's probably the only downside for some people, but I don't care. As long as it looks great, if you use mods, that's up to you. As long as you let people know. I mean, I presume it's got modding in it anyway, the way that some of this stuff is standing out. If it's not, if it's all actually freely supported, then fair play. But it does look amazing. Look at some of the structures here. Definitely wants to give me some inspiration about what I'm going to build. I'm hoping to do the Unseen Tower from Terry Pratchett's Discworld. That's what I'm going to be working on in the future. But yeah, very cool stuff indeed. And Fable 2 is one of my favourite games of all time, so absolutely can't wait to see this in its actual finished form. Again, all links for this will be in the comment section. So this is a fairly new one. This was done by Hinoiki, and that was only an hour ago. It's really cool, a little spire village on top of one of them giant massive rocks in the plains biomes. I really like this one as well. Someone's made like a skull base in the swamp biomes, and this is the kind of stuff I like to see. Players really starting to build bases in the different biomes. Obviously it must be hard having enemies come and try and destroy stuff, but yeah, it looks really cool. I love the spiral staircase going up, if it's a little bit difficult to go up. But yeah, nice little base build going on. Feels cozy even if it is in one of the most horrible areas in the game. Big shout out to Oatmeal Squares for this one. Now I've seen a few spirals now, but this is probably going to be the one of the most complete and just nicest looking. Looks absolutely amazing. That one is from Al Carpi. This one is My Erect Nipples, and it's a really cool build. I really love the actual ceiling work he's done here as well. It almost looks like it's kind of cloth sort of awnings on top of it. I also really like the way he's done the stands here. Makes it feel like the base has kind of got legs. So yeah, really cool build. Absolutely love this. I really like this one. Obviously, being a London boy, it is of course Tower Bridge. It's got so much intricate detail, and it really does have a lot of this stuff going on indeed. So I can't wait to see what this one looks like when it's completely finished. That one's from Holiday Complex. Obviously, there are some really over-the-top fantastic builds already, like this Notre Dame Castle, absolutely amazing. And these are pretty easy to spot on the Reddit forum. That one's by GLPV. This one has got to be the funniest one so far though, not so scary now, are you, big guy? It's literally a Thomas the Tank Engine build, I love it. That one's by You Got That Tricardo. And I could honestly be here all day looking at this stuff, but I think you should absolutely go and check it out for yourself from Reddit. But this one is a tribute to Heimdall. This is amazing. This is the kind of stuff I can't wait to maybe go and do some tours of. So I hope they start making some of these worlds available. Be nice to see this for myself up close and personal. But that is just stupendous. There's going to be a lot of architecture like this in this game. Just the way that the wood can be shaped and placed in almost any direction. I think it's going to open up so much for people that want to do this kind of thing. So yeah, very excited about checking this one out. This one's made by Dire Izzy. And yeah, super cool build. If you're wondering how players are doing this, maybe without proper structural supports and stuff, there are lots of mods that allow you to pretty much build anywhere without it all collapsing. And just show some of the screenshots you guys have been sharing in my Discord. This one's made by 2Perzy, a great little base. I just kind of like the lighting and the details he's got inside. This is from Hobgoblin. I kind of like the cliffside sort of little outpost that he's made as well. I really like the idea of a cliffside base. This one I really like. This is done by Only Spoonlight. I really like the ceilings and just the fact it's like 4 big massive towers making the keep and the insides look really cool. So yeah, I don't want to show off too much, don't want to upset anyone, but I just want to give it a shout out to some of this great stuff. Go and check it out and make sure you leave an upvote. And there we go, that is the little Valheim news video today. Come and join my Discord, keep sharing your screenshots, your bases or anything funny, and just look out for more Valheim content from me. Lots to come in the future. Until next time, Ratbags, laters.